Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on Upptalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say Upptalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you are new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
Today we will just go through the top tier items which are not important. It's quite complex items like it's not used all everywhere, but we'll just let you know how it is, what it is and where it is used. First item is holiday profiles. I'll tell you what it is. Holiday profiles. I showed you that we can assign holidays through payrolls. There is one more way to assign holidays, which is through holiday profiles. You can create different profiles and different holidays. So if you see here, holiday profiles means you can give one name to it and we need to select a particular credit rule. If we have gone through here, I have already told you about the holiday credit rules. So how many hours to credit, whether it should credit based fixed hours or hours based on schedule. These are the items which we do with early credit rules. What holiday profiles means we can directly assign a particular holidays and credit rules through pay rules, or we can do it through holiday profiles also. Holiday profiles also. We can create a holiday profile and we can assign it to an employee. There are two ways where we can do it. We can do it through pay rules or we can do it through holiday profiles. Holiday profiles will be helpful in a way that, like if your holidays are location based. Example, if you take India, each state will have different holiday. So they are like if it is the same type of employee, also based on his working location, this holiday will differ. So in that case, assigning holidays through payroll will not be a good idea. In that case, we can go with holiday profiles. So because for each employee, based on his working location, we can create a holiday profile. Example, see here, holiday profile New York. So similarly, we can create location-based holiday profiles and we can select what holidays for that particular location. So whatever the holidays we have created under this name, this holiday, this is a master associate which will have a list of all the holidays, national, state, everything. From that, we will have all the holidays which are available there. We can pick up what holidays needed for this particular New York, or like if it is Tamil or if it is Kerala. We can create one profile for each and select the list of holidays needed for that particular state. Clear on that? This you can directly assign to the employee people tab itself. So that is about the holiday profiles. Then other item here is cascading policy and cascading profile. I'll give an overview when we go through app rules because it is somewhat related to the app rules. So I'll give you an overview when we go through that. And now wage profiles. I think we are not using it anywhere. Let me see if someone has created anything. No, they might have not. And personal allocation rule is also not used. Adjustment rule. I'll teach you what is adjustment rule. 1 second. Let me see what is adjustment rule. So what this adjustment rule is used is say like If an employee is working in a particular department or particular job, something, if you want to give him some bonus or some fixed payments in addition to what he is getting, say, like for example, if in India we'll give Diwali bonuses for people who are working like lower level, like janitors, security people, we will not be getting any bonus because we are doing white collar. But other people who are at the lower level, they'll be getting bonuses for a particular job. They'll be giving bonuses. So these kind of things, we can achieve it through adjustment rules if you want to give a particular bonus. So here we can choose for whom we need to provide it, either directly through the job or through labor account. I'll show you where this job and labor account comes into. So labor account is the primary labor account which is attached here. So based on a particular, I'm going to give only for this healthcare Australia nurses. If I choose this particular labor account only for this nurse, this particular rule will be enabled. This is not widely used, but in the interview, like prospect, if someone is asking a question like, what is this? Like you should be able to a little bit like answer all that, what exactly it's doing. We can give a bonus or we can give a wage adjustment. Bonus means nothing, we can obey. Like in both items, you need to pick a labor account. In my case, like I'm not saying anything. I'm just choosing, I'm going to choose like which company, which job, which department I'm going to pick. Maybe I'll go with. First, let me pick region. In then addition, maybe healthcare, then facility. Some facility. I'm just giving you an example. App. It's not mandatory that we should have everything. We can have one item selected from here, and whoever is having this job, we can give them bonus. Or whoever is meeting these four conditions, for them we can give bonus. It depends on our convenience. Like what is our requirement? We can just have one field, which is job registered nurse. So all the registered nurse who is like whoever is having this labor account value, several registered nurse will be getting it. But now we have chosen these four conditions. So whoever is meeting these conditions, they will be getting a bonus. So if we give like this, so only these employees, whoever is meeting this condition is eligible. We can select a particular pay code under which we need to give a bonus, whether it's a regular overtime or we have a separate code for bonus. Under what pay code we need to give them bonus that we can define. And again, we can see how much we need to give it as a fixed amount. How many hours we need to give. And like it is like, it's like how much if, even if you choose 10 hours, how much hour, like whether it's only once or it can be continued, like these items can be chosen. This adjustment mode. Mostly what we like. For what purpose these people will be using this is they'll be using it just for providing some adjustment if an employee is working in a different department. Example said, Like I am from a particular department, I'm going to work in a different department. In that case, I need a separate rate, or say I am from California. I'm going to work in another state. So that state there might have a different like page rule or adjustment. In that case, they can use this like they can select the employee is going into this particular role, then he needs to get an additional adjustment like add 1 hour to his working hours. Whatever he's working, he should get an additional hour of payment, or we can give a multiplier. Example, if he's going to work in a particular department, then we can give like multiplier means. You know the multiplier rate, you can choose it as 1.5, which will give you much in a 1.5 rate if he's working in this particular department. If it's a flat rate, we can choose a particular rate and give an amount. It will give that additional amount 100 as extra. So this will be applicable only if he goes and works in this department. I might be from a different department. This is directly assigned to each employee's power like person term itself. So example, whoever needs this, only for them we can create it and add it. Like mostly, we will have to use it in some rare retail businesses where the employees will be switching to different roles frequently. In that places, few companies might be using this. This adjustment rule, personal allocation rule, everything. If you need to map it, you can directly map it in this. How is it? You can map the adjustment rule and personal allocation rule to an employee directly on the same people, like a director itself. If something is created, currently we don't have anything. So I'm leaving like that. So that is all about what are the items we have here, like the personal allocation rule. So holiday profiles will be using it. In some companies, they might assign holidays through payrolls. Some companies will still use the holiday profiles to assign it. So there are two ways, but adjustment rule, personal allocation, wage profiles, these are very rarely used. And only from like interview prospect, you just need to know what it is. That's it. So today I'll go through a few other lighter topics about what to say the common subjects. I think for here, and I have already showed you what the advantages are. So far in common setup, we have something called common setup. So what this is used is if you go to an employee's time card. Once again, let me choose our employee. Let's change. So if you want an employee and put in a punch like, maybe I'll put the previous paper. We have punches like 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And like the employee might come at 5 a.m. as requested by the manager. So if there is some discrepancy in the time, it is stating like unscheduled or something like this. There is an exception. I'd say employee comes in at 6 a.m. and leaves early by 2 p.m. So in that case, the cross would flag it as the earlier. But the employee has informed the manager stating he has a medical emergency or he has a personal emergency. So when someone else sees his time card, they might note he's leaving early. So if a manager wants to put a comment here and make it visible to everyone, stating the reason why he has left early, it would be ideal in most situations. So far then, what the manager will do is he'll just click on it. Once you write, he'll get these items like Marcus reviewed, edit and comments. So he can choose the comments here. So there are a set of comments which will be already inbuilt in the system, or we can even create it whether he has informed on his absence or whether he has not informed, whether it's a public example. In my case, I'm choosing we can create a number of comments and using a personal emergency, I'll add it. So now we'll get a comment here, and whether it's a manager or payroll admin or whoever goes in, he can go here and just see this guy has left early on 2 p.m., but it's for some valid reason. There's some personal emergency. That is the reason he has left the factory or the company. So where we create these comments is in this place. Under setup, under comment setup, we have commands. Here is the area where we will be creating these comments. If you see, here we have set of comments here. So this is the place we will be creating those comments. Command profile is nothing. We will group comments into different profiles. Say example, I want a particular set of employees to see only few comments or a manager to see only 3 comments. Then I'll choose those 3 comments and I'll put it under a name and I can assign it to directly the employee's people editor so that he will be able to see only those comments. Just to filter out what visibility of comments, not giving all the comments, but just a few comments. For that, we can go ahead with the command profile. Now let me take you through some other items like server, like where the server at the how many licenses. We have these details. Everything is available under system configuration. So we are not supposed to make any changes or anything, addition, creation, anything under this. This particular module is read-only. You should only go to see the details. That's it. So under system configuration, we have an option called system information. This is like a setup to the Kronos itself. So here we can see what are all the servers this particular instance we have. Since this is a web cloud-based instance, we will have only one application server. If the Kronos, currently there are 2 types. We can have a cloud instance or on-premise. So if it is on-premise, they will be using maybe 2, 3 instance servers to do different jobs. Mostly. But if it is a cloud-based application, currently people are migrating to cloud, only it will have maybe 1 or 2 servers, that's it. And if you want to see whether the server is working correct, you can click on this. So it will show you the heartbeat. It should fit some heartbeat. It should not be sealed. And you can see the status as connected. And that means it is currently connected and it's communicating properly. So this is about the web server of our current instance. Even if someone is asking, there will be a third-party tool, how to connect with our server. If you just click on the server name, it will give you the IP address. What is the host name? What are the other URL? How to connect through this. So we'll get those details from here. So this is about the details of the server. And then if you go here applications, what is the application? Nothing in there. So this is again other models, whichever is attached to it. So if someone comes and asks what version of pronouns you are using and particularly each model, what are the version you are using? Just you can go through and just select 8.9. It will be available at the top of the URL itself. If you want to be specific with what item exactly you are using, like you can come here and see it here. So this is the version. They will be upgrading from one version to another. Currently, the latest version is, I think, 8.114 or something. So each version will come up with some certain new features and will become more previous versions failures. So this is where we check it out. So these are different models available within Kronos and what version each item are there in our particular instance. Mostly all the items will be in the same instance unless the client requests, like I need only these instances, like these particular module attempts to be in an older version. Then the system, the Kronos people, will help them to keep it. Only that particular item will lower and other items in the recent version. And then here, if you see, we can also have the details of the database. So first thing, if something is not working, check here whether the database is online. And if you want to connect to the system's database, this is where you can find the details like what is the server name. What is the database servers? How to access it? This is the idea how you can use it in these metrics or some other places to access the database server on this particular instance. So we see how the server is working and other items, and the next item is the licenses. So how many employee licenses we have? That means in this instance, you see here workforce timekeeper. We have 1900 license and 43 is in use and still we have other. That means we can load up to 1900 employees in this particular application. This particular instance, we can load even 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs of employees, but we need to purchase the licenses from the Kronos team. Currently, this instance, the Load Foundation has purchased 1900 employee license and 755 manager license. That means we can have 1900 employees and up to 755 managers in the system. So we have to pay per person, like license wise. It's not per person, like it's like if you purchase 2000 licenses, it's this much rate. If you go for 10,000 licenses, this much rate. That's it. And some places it's a one-time cost. Some clients will be paying it like yearly. So this is the area where we can see those details. So what are the models we have access to? So based on the license we have, that's it. You are the This is not the limitation project. How many developers will be your experience? The project depends on the client's timeline and the number of models they're going to implement. Some clients will have a simplified example. There are even more models compared to this. There will be budgeting so that everything is there, but mostly clients will be using pay policies. Of course, organizations set up scheduling these items. So it depends on the employee count. So if a company is having up maybe 15,000 employees, not their basic items, in that case, they can implement those by having like mostly what happens during the implementation of the bulk of the work. For the implementation, because they need to give license, they need to implement the modules in the system. And then you need to give them your requirement and they will do the initial configuration. Some places you can have a lot of technical, you can create it, but the integration and other stuff. But the first thing they will be doing, so if you have our own account, maybe like a basic setup to be created, you can have 5 to 6 resources for the initial implementation from your end. And we will give you a dedicated team based on the workload, and you need to have interaction with them. What our work will be for the initial implementation of testing out what are the features they are providing us, whether it is working as expected. But once we go live and say we are going live with a product, we have 15 sub companies. First, we have implemented to 1 or 2 companies, and then we are going to implement it through, like for 1 company for a year or 2, 3 companies per year. In that case, you will want the more bulk of the work because once it is implemented, you have access to these modules. So integrations and other items, maybe if you standard ones, you can get the support from them. Apart from that, all other pay policies and other things if you want to do, means if you have maybe 2000 employees per sub company, you might need to have example, if it is 2000, you approximately, it will take 6 to 8 months to go implement the Kronos to them. And you might need at least 1 resource to support from the Kronos, and then 3 Kronos results at your end. If it is a 2000, 3000 employees, you need to implement a 6 to 8 month time period. You might need 3 Kronos resource at your end. For the integration process, they'll be helping out like the Kronos, they will be helping out. As a developer, we need to have a knowledge of. Mostly Kronos people, they will be having knowledge of integration also. So initial integrations are basic integration like loading the persons into the application and doing the demo. What they will have a default template and there is a cost attached to it. They can deploy it to you on implementation, but you want your own customized one. You can also develop it from scratch. Like for most people, mostly they will be having knowledge of integration at SQL. So they can do it. I'm thinking along with integration, 3 people is enough for doing the migration process. So because integration wise, it depends on the client. Most clients will be using only simplified integration like loading the people into system, and payroll is going to be same for all the people who are in a particular instance. Other than that, a few fine-tuning integrations, it won't take much time, more than 6 to 8 months. Say 3 people you have, you can use 1 for dedicated integration and 2 is enough for configuration. Abhay, I have a question. So let's say you get a requirement from a client to configure the payrolls and stuff. So once this is done, I mean in the real world, what does it happen? Like you wait for the next pract or how things go as an expert. It's like how you have the projects. It's not like you only work on implementations, like you will be supporting them. And it depends on the model, like if they want further help, is that how it is? No, they will raise tickets. You will be working on the tickets or user stories. It depends on the project model, whether you are on the waterfall or agile. If it is agile, what type of agile it is? Agile means you will be getting works based on sprints. Sprint can be either 15 days or 21 days. So each 21 day, you might be assigned with a user story. You need to work on it. And once you complete it next week, they will ask for something. They will always have work on that. Agile is like that. Based on that, how much work will be there, planned on that. Only they will be having resources also. If it's a waterfall model, it's like you will have daily activities, weekly activities if you are from the support team. If you are from the development team, whatever the issues they are facing with any of the existing pay policies or existing integrations or existing approvals that will come to us as a risk request to you. You can work on it. And if there is any enhancements that needs to be done that you can do, or if there is any new policy needs to be created that will come to you. So what's the scenario like on a daily basis? Like in a real world, like what's like? Is it like a lot of the environments are waterfall or like what kind of scenarios? No, there are companies which doesn't fall into any of these categories. They are not following any process. They are just like sitting in a house. But companies are likely to use either waterfall or agile. Agile is actually used in various areas where they go ahead and make multiple enhancements. And they are on top of their work. Like their Kronos project will be very much standardized and stabilized. So in general implementation, people used to go with the waterfall. Once somewhat the project is getting stabilized, then they might choose agile, and some companies they will stick to waterfall itself. Like when what comes, we will do other like rest of the day. It's like maybe we can have our like agile. 80% of the clients and the agreement you have with the people like the client and others. Whether you work or not, you're not going to get paid. Like that's how the most of the agreement is per hour. This much is the dollar. They will quote and they will sign the agreement. So it's like the client is supposed to give you work. Then what we define is this much amount of work will be done from our team. That's it. So if they don't give that much amount of work, that doesn't is not going to bother us. The client needs to pay for that amount of work. That's it. Again, in Agile model, it's the same. They will be promising you will be working this number of points for a particular sprint. It is the work of a scrum master or the someone from the client side to create that many user stories and give you that many points for the particular start of the sprint. If they are not able to provide us, say, 100 points is promised for a sprint, they are not able to bring 100 points user stories. Whatever they are going to bring, you are going to work on it. That's it. Like we cannot exactly define it how it works. So if you think of a project, you'll get an idea. It's entirely different from for each project. Some projects the work will be hectic. Some projects it will be very lenient. The client will be very supportive. They will give just a minimal work. They'll ask you to work only for 3 to 4 hours per day and dedicate your other times to the calls. Some projects are like that. You'll have more calls. Agile model mostly will have around 2.5 hours call per day. Got. Like what I'm telling is like I cannot generalize it how it will be. Oh no, each project is different. So this is the major area which is needed for the other all the projects. Most work will come in this and these accruals even if it is a jail or work like waterfall. Because when the population moves into the corners or an existing population is facing issues, mostly it will be accruals and pay policies and then integration. So integration we are not touching because it's completely different tool, integration tool. But these two will be giving you the bulk work. And then there are other items which will come once in a while, like changing the access profiles or changing some display items, creating new genies. These items will come under. I'll take you through these sessions after the accruals. You'll go through access profiles and display profiles. So these are the works will be coming up, but it will be very rare. Mostly we'll be using this to be what we have already the system, or maybe one or two, and that's it. Got. And for data integration prospects, even if you use any of the integration tool, you need to have these connections to be set up in that particular integration tool. This is the, if you go to data integration, you'll have connections in that connection. If you open, there will be 3 connections. So this is the connection that you'll be using it to connect through to communicate with this particular one of those instructions. They'll be asking for what is the database URL, what is the username and password. This is the details which you have in the system itself. And also XMLAPI connections, and these items, whatever the connection strings are there, it will be stored under data integration connections. And one more thing it is available here is map folders. You'll have them in a remote. This is directly stored under the server under these folders in server system under C cross under interface designer. We'll have these 2 folders. This is specifically for women is for the like. It's a folder for the integrations which fetches data from that part of the system and loads it into the example. The employee details mostly flows from a SAPI or from Workday. From there we'll get an input file. That input file should be placed in this folder. From this folder, our integration, whatever the input file is needed, our integration will pick it from the women folder and will load it to our system. Again, payroll and other things where we fetch the data from our instance and we are giving it to the third party. The data from our system we are fetching and giving it to the other for that party. So those integration, they will run and complete and they will place their files out. So inbound interfaces, they will fetch the input file from the women folder. The out interface is, that is output interfaces will fetch out files from the out folder. So these are the default folders for storing an input file and storing an output file. Unlike how the data will be pumping to Kronos in the environment. Can you repeat once? How frequent like implies is the employee load happens daily. On a daily basis person, there is an integration call person, report or reply report. Clients will be naming it differently based on the requirements, but it will happen on a daily basis. Usually like maybe 2 am or 3 am of the client's time, so that each day will get a record from the source system. It can be a SAPI, it can be an employee center, it can be a work day, or it can be just a flat file from someplace. Just an input file. From that, we have a possibility for how we can get in the location, the data. Like suppose I think that through a manual load, I'm not sure. I don't see any integration currently ending up. They have integrations, but I'm not sure how they're doing it. We don't have the for server access to this particular instance. Even if you don't have server access some places, what they will give is clients will forward you from server access, but they will give you some FTP access. They will give you some URL from where you can access these folders alone. So we can upload or download from these folders. We cannot delete or update, but we will be able to upload something and we will be able to download something. So for a particular integration to run our test, if we need an input file, means they will give a FTP access. They will give an URL that will open this folder. We can upload the files, run our integration, test it out, and then we can sign out from. Similarly, in VuIM mode also we can run an integration and go to this folder using the FTP access. The URL we can directly put it in the Chrome. It will open this folder. We can download the file and verify it. So the integration tool and other items, it's a completely different URL. They will be giving some Citrix access or some other that part even does access. Once you log in through that, you'll be able to see the integration database and the reporting tools and other designers, other suites itself. And mostly each client. Whatever the client, they will have at least 2 instances. One is the production, which is live, and one is at least like the one will be their development or testing promise. The lower environment, where we will first create our configurations and the integrations, everything, we'll test it out in the lower environment and then we'll move to the live production. We'll never make any changes that in the production system will create the lower environment and then we'll migrate the changes to be higher. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.